What's going on YouTube? Vick Almighty here with another custom. For today's video, we're paying tribute to Chadwick Boseman. We were wrecked by the news of his passing. Although he'll go down in history for his role as a Black Panther, Chadwick was transcendent. His portrayal of figures like James Brown, Thurgood Marshall, and Jackie Robinson has earned his spot as one of the greatest actors of a generation. As a huge Marvel Comics fan, I was deeply impacted by the news of his death and wanted to do my bit to honor his legacy. If you've been around the channel long enough, you guys may remember the Killmonger custom from 2018. That was one of my favorite customs ever. We'll be taking a page from that custom and applying it to these Air Jordan 6s. We'll be adding some LED lights, some laser engraved parts onto the shoe, and of course, some 3D printed teeth to go on the sides. This custom's gonna be super sick, but it's gonna be a lot of work. So, let's get started. The first thing we're gonna do is put the shoe to the side. We're only gonna be working on the left shoe for time purposes. We're gonna remove the laces, the shoe tree, and insole. Good to go with that. The next step we're gonna do is pretty much destroy the shoe. We have our X-Acto knife right here. We're gonna be removing these two panels on each side, these big 3 panels. This is a little sketch because I've never done this in the past, so we're gonna see how it goes. I don't wanna ruin the shoe, so I'm gonna try my absolute best to be careful. We're also gonna be removing this diamond piece off the tongue and pretty much replacing with a different material that's laser engraved. Again, we'll see how it goes. We got these panels off the Jordan 6, you guys. That was overall pretty easy. If you're ever doing this at home, just make sure to take your time and be careful with the X-Acto knife because you can simply cut a hole through the upper. Looks pretty messy right now, but it's just part of the process so far. Before we go in and remove all the little threads from this piece and the uppers, we gotta remove one more piece still. Over here in the tongue, we're gonna do the exact same thing using the X-Acto knife. The next thing we're gonna do is get some help from our creative director, Doug. He's gonna help us by laser engraving some new parts for this shoe. Unfortunately, I went to the leather store and they did not have any black leather within my budget, so I just went ahead and picked up this blue stuff. It works just as good, but it's just not black. Once it's laser engraved, we'll bring it back and paint it. Yeah, it does look a little too small. You think we could try it again?
Oh yeah, we can cut as many as we want.
All right, let's try it again. These are looking pretty sweet now. The sizing looks pretty on point.
Oh dude, and the engraving came out sick. I cannot wait to see these painted.
Yeah man, these are gonna be so awesome. We are back, guys. These parts came out super sick. I can't, check them out. Big shout out to our creative director, Doug. He went in on the design and making sure this came out properly cut. We spent a lot of time making sure the measurements were on point. If you go ahead and check this out, literally, it's the exact same size. Holes are perfectly placed. I have no complaints about these new parts. Same thing over here. The old part had a Jumpman. I did not like that. It did not go with the theme of this custom. So we made a whole new part. This piece has a panther right in the middle. It symbolizes this custom perfectly. The next thing we're gonna do, you guys, is paint these parts black so we can get them onto the shoe. Painting is good to go, you guys. I'm super happy on how this turned out because the laser engraved part came out nice and matte. The top portion came out glossy. It looks perfect next to each other. Now we're gonna go ahead and put these onto the shoe. We'll use some double-sided fabric tape to stick it on, and then we'll go to my sewing machine and simply sew it on. Here's a quick update on where I'm at. We got this panel nicely laid down, no issues at all. It lined up perfectly. The measurements were super precise. I didn't mention this in the beginning, but this pattern is off the suit. It looks pretty awesome. Now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the second panel. So far so good. The next thing we're gonna do, using some barge super stick cement, we're gonna lay down a little bit of glue here on the edges so it lays down flat before we continue the sewing. Sewing process is complete. This part came out super awesome. It was super hard in some areas. I kind of had to finesse it because of the way the shoe is set up at my sewing machine. Kind of had to jam it in, but overall at the end, I made it work. I still have to go back and touch it up in some areas to make it nice and crispy, but overall, the idea is there. The next thing we're gonna move on to is our midsoles. We're gonna tape off certain areas of the upper so we can remove the gold area of the shoe so we can come back, spray it with some silver. Factory finishes off the midsoles. Now we're gonna go in and tape off the soles and uppers to get it ready for the paint job. All taped up, the first color we're gonna lay down is our black paint. This will cover up the gold and serve as our base coat for the silver color. Gold paint is completely covered up. Now let's lay down our silver paint. Silver is good to go. We get the tape off. The next step we're gonna do is lay down our flat black paint using an angular brush. Color blocking on this midsole is complete, came out nice and crispy, lines are on point. The next step we're gonna move on to is laying down this stencil. This is the exact pattern that he has on his suit, so we're simply gonna lay it down on top of the black. Stencil's laid down. The next thing we're gonna do is lay down some more black paint. This design looks pretty sick, pretty much what it's gonna look like. The base coat is a nice matte black. The top portion, which is the design, is gonna be a nice glossy. Good to go with the midsoles. The matte and glossy in person looks super sick. Also off camera, I went ahead and dyed the air units using Remixer Kick Soul Dye. Works super well. I pretty much taped around the clear areas and just went at it with a small detail brush. Was super careful. Didn't realize the camera wasn't on, but it wasn't a super hard step. The next thing we're gonna move on to is the 23 and this back tab. I kind of started messing with the 2 already. I simply dyed it with the same dye. I'm gonna do the same thing for the number 3. For the back tab, I'm gonna try to tape around it and again, dye it as well. We'll see what happens. Good to go dyeing the 23 and the back tab. Honestly, I love how they came out. The dye adheres to the material perfectly without much issues. Same thing with this chrome back tab. I wanted to keep the chrome on it. It looks super clean. I did not want to paint over it for 2 reasons. The chrome looks super dope and paint just simply does not stick very well to rubber. We don't have to worry about any of that. We're just gonna leave it as is. The next thing we're gonna move on to is installing some LED lights inside the air unit. We'll be using some LED lights from evandesigns.com. That's where I buy all my LED lights. Unfortunately, they do not sell any purple LEDs, so I went ahead and sanded down the surface of them, dyed them purple, and that's how I got them purple. The next thing I gotta do is use our Dremel with a little drill bit. Simply drill 3 holes into the inside of the shoe to go through the air unit. I marked them down using a Sharpie to my best guess. So now we're just gonna go ahead and hope for the best. LEDs are installed in the air units, you guys. You can't see it right now, but I'm about to turn it on. That came out super sick, you guys, just like the suit in this Black Panther movie. Now, on to the last step to complete this custom. While I was doing all the painting and the laser engraving, I had my good friend Lee design and print these teeth. These are exact replicas from the teeth on his necklace that he wears on his suit. They came out super sick. He designed them from scratch and printed them on his 3D printer. This is how it originally looked. Off camera, I went ahead and removed the support system, laid down the primer, did a little bit of sanding, and laid down the silver. This right here is the final product. It literally came out perfect. Better than the Killmongers, to be honest. All we gotta do now is install them with the laces. Alright guys, that is gonna bring us to an end on these custom Air Jordan 6 Black Panthers. A lot of detail, a lot of work went into them. Let's go ahead and break down exactly what I did. The first step I did was added the laser engraved panels on the tongue and the sides of the shoe. We also went ahead and added the LED lights inside the air units, completely repainted the midsoles, and added the 3D printed teeth onto the shoe just like the Killmonger custom. Again, you guys, this is one of my favorite customs. A lot of work went into them. I hope you guys like them. I hope I honor Chadwick's legacy with these customs. This is Vick Almighty. I'll catch you guys next time.